Excited that you're here with us. And as a friendly reminder, today's MCAT workshop will be recorded, and we'll send the recorded video to all registrants as soon as the video is ready. Moving on to the agenda slide. And before we jump into the MCAT workshop, I'll cover MSOM's admissions requirements and share important admissions related reminders. Then Dr. K will lead the MCAT workshop. Lastly, we'll open up the floor for questions at the end of the presentation. And moving on to MSOM's admissions requirements. Applicants must complete the ACOMAS primary application. You'll also need to have a bachelor's degree from an accredited U.S. college or university. And for prerequisite courses, and as you can see, our prerequisite courses are listed on this slide. You'll need to have completed one full academic year with a C or better in each of the following courses prior to matriculation. And please note that all applicants must complete prerequisite requirements within 10 years prior to matriculation at MSOM. We also have recommended prerequisites, and these courses are not required but are recommended to help students build a solid foundation for success in the program. MCAT scores are required and cannot be waived. MCAT scores must have been taken on or after January 1st, 2021, and we do prefer each subsection to be above the 25th percentile. 2 letters of recommendation are required to be submitted through the ACOMAS recommender portal, and letters from DOs are strongly recommended. We're looking for competitive GPAs at a minimum a 2.8 overall in science GPA. And lastly, applicants must be a U.S. citizen, U.S. permanent resident, or a DACA recipient. Next slide, please. Okay, so after submitting your ACOMAS application, you'll receive a secondary application from us. The secondary application consists of 3 short required essays and a $100 application fee. And please note that the application fee is waived for those who qualify for the ACOMAS fee waiver. And regarding our interviews, so they will be conducted one-on-one and virtually. And after receive your completed secondary application, the admissions team will screen applicants for the interview stage. And then the interview moderators will not have access to the applicant's material. So it'll be a completely blind interview. And all applicants will be contacted via email within 2 to 4 weeks after their interview. Next slide, please. So we are currently accepting applications for fall 2025, and we're moving very quickly. So interviews are starting this month. And if you're planning to apply for fall 2025, we strongly encourage you to submit your application as soon as possible, as we are filling spots on a rolling basis. And there's no need to wait for your fall grades to be posted. You can submit your application now and then update your ACOMAS application with your final fall grades and an updated transcript as soon as grades are posted. The ACOMAS academic update window will open on December 16th for you to submit updated grades and transcripts. And if you're planning to retake the MCAT, you can still submit your application, and there's no need for you to wait for your new scores to arrive before applying. And just a reminder, we're accepting MCAT scores from January 1st, 2021 or later. On the slide, you'll see our contact information. So if you have any questions related to admissions, please reach out. And please know that you are not alone in this process. We're here to support you and guide you throughout the application process. So now we're going to shift gears, and I would like to introduce Dr. K. Dr. K is the Associate Dean of Academic Affairs at the Emeritus School of Osteopathic Medicine. He studied at New York State University and holds a PhD in medicinal chemistry, a master's degree in organic chemistry, and undergraduate degree with a triple major in mathematics, physics, and chemistry. And he's played a vital role in successfully establishing 2 startup osteopathic medical schools, California Health Sciences University College of Osteopathic Medicine and Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine. Dr. K has been teaching MCAT prep courses and test-taking strategies for the past 12 years, and he's helped hundreds of pre-med students improve their test scores and fulfill their dreams of becoming medical students. So now, Dr. K will now cover the MCAT tips and techniques workshop. Welcome, Dr. K.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Ms. John. Really appreciate your support. Not only you, for entire team of admissions at Meritus School of Osteopathic Medicine. Right. Let's see. Thank you all for joining today. I'm really excited to be part of your journey. We have some student learning outcomes or session learning objectives. Before I start, I just want to ask like a couple of quick questions. Some of you can volunteer. What is the main purpose you have joined this workshop?
Just wanted to
Anyone
advise
can
some of my students. Yeah, I wanted to advise the students in my department, and I have a few that have approached me about the interest in DO programs, and so I'd like to pass along what you have to say.
Excellent. Dave, can you share your?
I joined just to get more of like a well-rounded approach to the test. I think there's a lot of different, media outlets or videos on YouTube where it shows that this is one way to do this section, while there's another way to do this section. And I guess all of them kind of just start to meld together and you start to see like what you're good at. And I might still be finding my method of approach to the exam as well. So I just wanted to get more resources to solidify how I'm going to really take it on.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. Any more?
There's a couple
students?
messages online.
Let me see where I can see them.
Do you want me to read them?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris said he would like to learn tips and tricks on how he can study future content for the MCAT and medical school. Alexis said she would like to deepen her knowledge of the test and any tips or tricks that could be beneficial.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, to spend your time and also, come here and support our new adventure to start this new School of Osteopathic Medicine in Hagerstown, Maryland, Western Maryland part. So let me start my talk. So we have some student learning outcomes. These are the common student learning outcomes. We're going to go through them one by one. Just before I start teaching for MCAT, do you remember reading all the materials from these pictures? Some of you are really aware of the picture 1 has about 8 books, and then 2 has 9 books, and picture 3 has about 5 books. Do you guys remember that, studying those books? Yes, right? So let's see if you really want to master those books. Can you guess how much time it takes to finish all those books? Any guess? Two months? Yep. Thank you. Thanks for chatting me. Yeah, 3 months. Yeah. So you guys are awesome. I'm so glad you were able to study those in 3 to 5 months. I mean, for me, it takes at least 2 years to master those books. So some students have 6 months. So there is no limit. The main point I want to talk today, there is no ending for content review. the information is kind of see lot of information available, like one of the students say, so much of information available there. But if you want to review entire content and then start practicing passages, you will be pre-med for another 5 years. So the main purpose of this presentation is I do not want to see all of you as pre-meds forever. I want to see all of you as medical students. I just want to remove the tag of pre to see you as medical students. So preparing for medical college admission test takes time and dedication. So we have to prepare for this crazy exam by conducting all other stuff. We have classes, we have jobs, we have family, we have friends, we have other commitments. Our life is going on, but still we have to prepare for the MCAT. So when you see the timelines, everyone will say, if I can prepare for 3 months, I'll be okay. But I would say the timeline for MCAT is very individual, because some students are in the freshman year, some students are in the senior year, some students already taken all the important courses required for the MCAT. So I cannot tell exactly how much time it takes to prepare for the MCAT. If you ask me how much time it takes, I would say 3 months if you study at least 8 hours per day. But it's not realistic to study 8 hours per day. So that's one of the major thing. How can we review the content quickly? So why do we need MCAT? So taking MCAT is one of the biggest milestone to become either allopathic student or osteopathic medical students in USA. So for some students, this is only thing that will stop them to become medical student. Do you guys agree with me? So here, Meritus School of Osteopathic Medicine would like to support your journey today. By knowing you can score high on MCAT by knowing the concepts and applying the skills that it tests for into passage-based questions. So if you see this statement clearly, I'm not asking you how to memorize the content. I'm just asking you have to know the content. Everyone agrees with that. So that's the rule number 1. You have to know the content. You do not have to memorize the content. Why did I say that? The reason I told that, because in MCAT, 90% of the questions are passage-based questions. And we also have some, about 8%, a discrete standalone questions. They do not require passage reading. So most of the questions in the MCAT are passage-centered or passage-based questions. So if you know how to read the passage, by knowing the concept, that means you have to know your foundations, you have to know your basics. You do not have to master the content. You do not have to memorize the content. All you have to do is you have to know the content, and then you have to know how to apply the knowledge or concepts you know, how to apply those concepts to solve the problems in passage-based questions. So there are 2 things here we are getting there. We don't have to be master at all those textbooks I was mentioning before. You don't have to spend years and years just reviewing the concepts. All you have to do is you have to review the content very quickly and vigorously. And then that should be very less portion of your entire prep. Once you start reviewing quickly, then you have to jump into practicing passages. So that's where the question comes from. What kind of passages we have to practice? So coming slides, we will see what kind of resources we can practice. There are so many resources available in the web, but exactly what are the best resources? For example, if I am preparing for any exam, either board exam or ACT or SAT, the first thing I will see who is writing the question. So please mute your mics. I'm getting some background. So who is writing the questions? So in this case, can you guys tell me who is creating the test for MCAT? Any guess? Who is creating the questions? AAMC, American Association of Medical Colleges. So here is the first technique or first tip. So we have to focus on the material from AAMC. Are you guys with me? You have to focus the material from AAMC because they are the one who is providing the test. Let me get back to the first tip. We have to know the content. How can you know the content? So every chapter here has a summary page. Can you guys agree with me? Every chapter has a summary page. So if I were you, I would study a summary page. Even though I study entire chapter in organic chemistry, I would focus on making my own summary sheet or a summary sheet in the textbook. So that saves ton of time from your entire content review. If I go in that speed, the entire organic chemistry 1, I can review within 1 day. Within 1 day, I can get the big picture of organic chemistry 1 concept. So that is the biggest clue or skill I would tell all the students. The next one is I would focus more on practicing passages, doing questions rather than reading the content. You might ask me, what if I don't know anything about the content? I would say when you do the passage, once you got the results from the passage, you can see which question is right, you can see which question is wrong. So based on the question or answer explanation, you can do some kind of content review. Are you guys with me? And then final technique, I would say, use the right resources. You already told me what is the right resource. AAMC is the most important as well as most reliable resource. The practice questions you are doing from AAMC are most likely similar to the real exam you're going to see in your real MCAT test. The question banks you are practicing AAMC. A small disclaimer, I am not working for AAMC, right? I'm not working for AAMC. I'm not working for any other commercial resources. I'm here to help you out. How can you review the content very quickly? How can you spend more time on practicing passages rather than reviewing the content? Finally, what kind of resources you can use so that you can score better. So that's the big picture. Even though you do not understand all the 30 slides I'm talking today, if you can able to understand this, that will help you to score high on your MCAT exam. So MCAT is a national standard exam all the schools use to make sure your natural, social, behavioral sciences, and you also have strong scientific problem solving as well as critical thinking skills. So this exam should identify which applicants will most likely succeed in the medical school. I'm not completely agreement with the second statement because I know some students who have less MCAT score, but they are topper in the medical school. So you never know how do you perform in the medical school. But having some knowledge on biology, physics, psychology, sociology, reading skills, critical thinking skills eventually will help you to survive in the medical school. Because we always talk about getting into the medical school, but sometimes we forget about surviving in the medical school because we have to pass the medical school to become physicians in this country. All right, so I have a little table here. if you see acceptance rate based on the MCAT score, so you see about, if you get about 506 to 509, you have 33.7 acceptance rate. If you have 510 to 513, 45%, 514 to 517, 56%, greater than 517, 61.4. This is one survey based on thousands of students. US MD granting medical schools, matriculated students survey. So now tell me, do you think there is a correlation between MCAT score and acceptance rate? Yes or no? The answer is absolutely. There is a correlation between your MCAT score and your probability of getting matriculated into either allopathic or osteopathic medical school in the nation. So students have everything else, great GPA, volunteering, shadowing experiences, working in a hospital as a scribe or nurse assistant or any place in health career field, and tons of research experiences, publications, poster presentations, everything that student have, but student did not meet minimum qualification of the MCAT. So what happens, folks? All those things are there, but admissions team cannot see your application because you did not meet minimum requirement. So for some students, MCAT is the only requirement compared to all other requirements. So be careful with MCAT score. Having high score will not hurt. Having high score will give you a lot of confidence. So there are 4 sessions: biological, chemical, psychological, social, behavioral, finally critical analysis and reasoning skills. I'm pretty sure you all aware of these 4 subsections. Why am I stressing these 4 sessions? Because some schools even have individual session requirements. For example, Meritus School of Osteopathic Medicine will like to see approximately 25th percentile on each subsection. You need to cross at least 25th percentile in each subsection of the MCAT. So that you have to be careful. One of the common mistakes we do as a student, we love biology. We spend more time on the first section. We love chemistry. We spend more time on chemistry because biology and chemistry are harder. But sometimes we forget about psych-social. We completely forget about cars or critical analysis and reasoning skills. So those 2 subsections can decrease your score tremendously if you do not give equal importance for each subsection. So when you create your study plan, make sure you allotted almost equal number of hours for each subsection. You practice equal number of passages for each subsection. Can you guess how many passages you have to do minimum for each subsection? Any guess on the chart? Seven practice passages for each subsection, 7, 9 for cars. Let me give you 8. All right, I'm getting all the numbers, but not even close what I'm trying to say. While practicing, so when you say 7, maybe you did not understand my question properly. In the exam, there are 9 passages or 7 passages or 8 passages in the exam. But my question is, how many passages you have to practice for each subsection to get good score? The minimum number of passages you have to practice for each subsection. Any guess? A lot, 20. A lot of passages. Yeah, Rahil, win the game. A minimum of 100 passages you have to practice for each subsection to get a decent score. Do you guys agree with me? So now you can ask yourself, keep your hand on your heart, how many did you do so far? Have you done at least 100 passages from the cars? I hate cars, folks. I don't want to talk about cars because I don't know where I'm going, where I'm driving. The cars will kill me all the time because English is my second language. I read the passage. By the time I go to the questions, I completely forgot what I read. When I'm doing the questions, I don't know what the question is asking about. There is nothing correlation between the passage versus question. So I hate cars. That's my bias there. I don't like it. But ask yourself, how many passages have you practiced? When you are in the workshop, you have to commit yourself to do at least 100 passages. It took me at least 200 passages to understand the cars, to be able to read quickly and comprehend fastly. So it takes a lot of time and effort to prepare for the MCAT. So when you allot the time, please make sure you have equal importance for each subsection. Please make sure you have minimum of 100 passages done for each subsection. Are you guys with me? Yes? Excellent. Thank you. You guys are good at chatting rather than talking, right? I think chatting is better. Excellent. Next one. So this is the MCAT curve. Now, here is another question. What is the average score for DO matriculants? Can you guess what is the national average score where in 2024, students got matriculated into osteopathic medical school? 506, 505, 505, pretty close. 504 is the 504 is the closest score there. So you can see here, if you cross 125, if you cross 500, you are safe. You can see here, anything above 500, like 501 to 504 is okay. 505 to 509 is good. 520 to 510 is great. 521 to 528, they're not from this planet. Do you guys agree with me? They're absolutely not from this planet. I seriously don't understand how they study, how they got this full score. It's 521 is almost like a 99th percentile. They might miss like 3 or 4 questions. So it's amazing. Still, I have about like a 67 or 68 students who got those scores. When I asked them, hey, what have you done? What is the clue? They said they don't know how many passages they practice. They don't know how many times they go through each question bank in AAMC full MCAT packet. They can't even count. So they keep on doing all those practice passages. Then I realized, oh my God, I think practice passages, everyone is talking at review of the content, but no one is going to the next stage of practicing passages and going to the explanations and then review the content. So then I realized, I think this is the issue where everyone's stuck at content review, not at practicing passages. Another thing they said, they took minimum of 10 full-length practice examinations. I'm like, bless your heart. I don't know how can you sit 10 days. You know why I say 10 days? How many hours it takes? 7 hours, 3 minutes test. They took the full-length exam completely. They finished all the AAMC practice exams. They also bought other practice exams from other resources, but they took a minimum of 10 full-length exams. So this is another number I want to talk today. Again, ask yourself, have you done 10 practice exams in an exam mode, in a serious commitment mode, or while sitting in the library or while sitting in the room? Have you taken 10 exams by creating similar atmosphere or simulation to the real exam? So that's the other thing you have to ask yourself, am I doing that? So that's another biggest clue I would say. Please take full-length exams. Every time you take, you see the score. I know you hate yourself. I know the score is not the one you are expecting, but do not lose your heart. You have to have a very, very positive attitude to take, to step back, to see where you are missing, what are the content gaps, what are the areas you have to review, what are the areas you have to spend more time on that. So take it carefully, but don't take it too personally, because if you miss one, if you did not do one, there are still 9 more exams you can do better. So you need to have that little bit of positive mindset there while you are practicing the full length examinations. So when you see this score report, this is what you're going to see. And this is exactly the students perform nationwide. They do very well in the psychological and social, as well as biological and behavioral foundations. They do okay in chemistry and physics, and they did not do well in the cars. So now tell me, what is the reason why they did not do well in the chemistry and physical foundations of biological system section? Any guess? Any guess? Let's see the comments. Extensive session, not enough practice problems. I mean, if you don't practice enough, your score will not be good in every subsection. Any guess? I'm just checking. Did not practice that second section enough. Any other guesses? All right. Let me give you the clue. The reason we cannot perform very well on this session is there are 2 hidden dangers. One is physics. Other one is organic chemistry. Do you guys agree with me? How many of you love these 2 courses? Most of you do not like these 2 courses, right? Physics and organic chemistry are the killers. They are hidden dangers for CPFBS system, physics and organic chemistry. The good news is you do not have to stuck worrying about physics and organic chemistry. If you do great on those, that's fine, because there are only 2 out of 9 passages coming out of physics. There are 1 passage coming out of 9 passages from organic chemistry. Are you guys with me? So even though you did not rock physics and organic chemistry, still you can get good score. So please do not worry or don't get scared about physics and organic chemistry. Do your best. You know, just go through the passage, answer as much as you could, but do not stuck there. Do not stuck there by worrying about those 2 things, because there are only 3 passages out of about 50 passages. So they will not impact your score a lot. But what will impact us is worrying about physics and organic chemistry. So please do not stuck there. Please move on. Do your best in organic chemistry and physics and then move on. But if you can do more practice passages and brush up your concepts and foundations, you can also do better in organic chemistry by understanding the mechanisms and pathways. So think whatever you could do, but do not stuck there about physics and organic chemistry. So that's the killer. And what is the killer for cars? Reading comprehension. I know I'm not talking about high school students or middle school students. The reading comprehension is an issue for many students, including me. We cannot read fast, we cannot comprehend fast because of the current society or nature we are in. We love to watch videos, short videos. Videos should be less than 5 minutes, right? So in that era of new gen students, we kind of forgetting to read. So please, the more you read, the more you score on cars. There is nothing we can do about it. You cannot prepare for cars with some formulas. The only formula for cars is do as many passages as possible, read as much as you could. In the iPhone, no. In the iPad, no. You have to read in the screens. You have to read in the desktop. Then your eyes are getting used with the reading and comprehending very fast way. So please read as much as you can. Read about literature, read about history, read and read and read. That's the only thing will help us with the cards. All right, everyone agree with that? So remember, these two sessions are always danger things because they will hurt our scores overall. All right, so if you see, these are the subspecialties on each subsection, but you always have the question, what are the things I have to emphasize more? So if you do very well in biology, biochemistry, Gen Chem, you will do okay in physics and organic, still you can do good in MCAT. So remember, all these courses are not new to you. Most of you might already taken all the courses, or some of you are planning to take the courses. But one suggestion I can give you, to do very well on MCAT, you have to do very well on the lab portion of these courses. Are you guys with me? To do very well on the MCAT, you have to focus on Gen Chem lab. You have to focus on physics lab. You have to focus on biology lab. You have to focus on anatomy, physiology lab, or any science lab. You have to focus or pay more attention, because in the laboratory scenarios are the scenarios they most likely use in MCAT passages. So when you know laboratory scenario, you know what exactly they're going to ask on the MCAT, because most of the scenarios are either lab based or research based or research manuscript or articles based. There is a table, a graph, there is a correlation. So please focus on the lab portion of this session. But remember, you have to stress more on biochemistry. Biochemistry sometimes has, so biochemistry has 25% in the BBFL. Biochemistry is also 25% of the CPFBS. So biochemistry covers almost 50% of the first two sessions. Are you guys with me? So please pay attention on a biochemistry course. I know I'm a biochemist. I will, talk about more about biochemistry, but in MCAT, most of the faculty, when they write the questions or passages, they will try to ask questions related to biochemistry in the passages. So pay more attention to biochemistry. Are you guys with me? So biochemistry passages, I saw sometimes 3 or 4 out of 9 passages are absolutely from biochemistry. In the CPFBS, I saw 3 out of 9 passages from biochemistry. So please pay more attention on biochemistry. I know biology means we always think about biology 1, biology 2. But there is something else more to the biology. Can you guess which course will help you more than biology in the BBFL? Any guess? Yes, biochemistry. One more course will help you very well in BBFL session. Microbiology a little bit. Cell biology, of course. Genetics. Cell and microbiology. Okay, let me tell the answer. I know we all need biology 1, biology 2, immunology. Yeah, I think someone got it. Anatomy and physiology. Are you guys with me? Anatomy and physiology. So when I see BBFL, not only biochemistry, I always think about anatomy and physiology course. Now, some schools offer AMP1, AMP2. Are you guys with me? Do you agree with me? AMP1, AMP2. If possible, please take anatomy 1, anatomy 2, or anatomy and physiology 1, anatomy and physiology 2. So that's the another hidden danger in the BBFL course. We all think about basic biology, but most of the passages are not from basic biology at all. They are from anatomy or physiology or biochemistry or cellular physiology. Are you guys with me? So that's another clue or tip I would say. BBFL is like that. So for the psychology, sociology, please ask yourself, did I take psychology, sociology course? Most of the students, sometimes they take, even though you don't take it, it doesn't take much time to review psychology, sociology. Sociology is a quick review. If you follow my summary sheet plan, summarizing the sociology, you can study entire sociology in 3 to 4 days. For psychology, there is nothing more than studying. You have to do a lot of practice passages. Are you guys with me? You have to do a lot of practice passages for psychology. For the course, humanities, social sciences, history. I mean, I don't know how many courses are there in course. Course is like some unknown entity I always struggle with because I seriously don't know what kind of passage they're going to ask. One thing I would say about course, read as much as you could. That's my best suggestion for the course. I'm sorry I can't help you because I always struggle with the course, but only thing helped me after doing more than 200 passages, I would able to see the trend. I would able to see somehow I'm getting the right answer, but I do not know exactly how I'm getting the right answer. So I think the thing I understood about course, do as many passages as possible. All right. So regarding the content, I've been telling you how to read the content. So before that, you need to think about where I'm going to find the syllabus for MCAT. Any guess? Where am I going to find syllabus for MCAT? Can you send the, I know it's on the slide, you can guess. The syllabus for MCAT is found in AAMC. What is the name of that? We're gonna share the slides and then you can click the link. The name of the syllabus is called AAMC Content Outline. AAMC Content Outline. So here is the one of the example. I took the screenshot of the AAMC Content Outline. So how I'm going to study the entire periodic table in 5 minutes. I know what are the valence electrons. I know what are the things in the nucleus. I will review what are the things outside the nucleus. I want to know what is the definition of electron affinity. So I know the definition of electron affinity. Electron affinity is the tendency to attract electrons towards itself, right? And then I know the definition of electronegativity I've been talking about, electron affinity, electronegativity. And then how the size of the atoms will change. There are periodic trends. If you go left to right, the electronegativity increases. Are you guys with me? So like that, I will do a summary sheet or end of the chapter page for periodic table chapter. Now, what I have to do? So I review the chapter in, let's say, 30 minutes. So now what is the next step? Anyone can guess? Any guess my next step? Do questions. Excellent. Very, very, very well done. Amazing. You already know everything about MCAT. You can go now. So read the periodic table in 10 minutes, understand the basic concepts. Now what you have to do, there are some questions, multiple choice questions. You can use AI. I need multiple choice questions in periodic table and practice those multiple choice questions. Are you guys with me? Do not spend more time on reading the chapter. Just spend more time on practicing multiple choice questions on periodic table. There is no right way or wrong way, right? There is no right way or wrong way. But I think if you prepare this way, you have more probability of getting high score. What works for you depends on your background, depends on the courses you taken, and how good you are taking multiple choice questions, because all the questions in MCAT are multiple choice questions. Some students are good at essay writing, but they are not good at multiple choice questions. Don't hung up on the topics you don't fully understand. Why? Because sometimes you can find the clue in the passage. You don't have to master the content. You have to understand the content. You have to get big picture of the concept. All you have to do, how I'm going to use my concept to resolve or to solve the problem from the passage. Don't procrastinate. Start studying. Don't focus on content review. Don't take any section lightly, particularly cars. Cars will kill your score completely. So be careful with the cars. I would do cars first, and then I will study physics and organic chemistry, and then I will go to biology. Are you guys with me? So take the toughest one first, practice the more passages, and then go on. All right. So now I have Gen Chem, Biochem, and OChem. So again, if you want to go through each chapter, might have 200 to 250 pages. Are you guys with me? So how I'm going to study these chapters? Each chapter has maybe 3-page summary. Or while you are taking these courses, you might have made a summary sheet for these chapters. Am I right, folks? Some students have best summary sheets better than my slides. A summary sheet or big picture or concept map, whatever you made, use those summary sheets, use those concept maps to review the material. I start with the atoms. I would like to know what is the electronic structure, periodic table and trends, stoichiometry problems, acid-base equilibria, and the Le Chatelier principle, ions in solutions, again, solubility, titrations, thermochemistry, electrochemistry, gas phase, liquid phase, kinetics, and equilibrium. All I need to know, read the summary sheets and then work on the problems. What kind of problems? Multiple choice problem. You have to practice the multiple choice problems. And then with the biochemistry, am I aware of 3-letter code of amino acid, 1-letter code of amino acid, enzyme, type of enzyme, and protein structures, primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary. And enzymes has enzyme regulation and inhibitors, activators, nucleic acid, DNA, RNA structure, function, DNA synthesis, transcription, translation, genetic code, and DNA technology. Recombinant DNA technology is very, very important because most of the biology passages uses research background or biotechnology or genetics, genomics, or DNA recent technology like PCR and other Western blot, other techniques. Carbohydrates, glycolysis, gluconeogenesis, and pentose phosphate pathway, citric acid cycle, metabolism of fatty acid. There are 2 metabolisms: synthesis of fatty acids, oxidation of fatty acids, hormonal regulation, insulin, and glucagon. So get the big picture. What exactly I'm going to find from this hormonal regulation? There are 2 things: glucagon when glucose is gone, insulin when glucose is high, right? After big Mac meal, we have a lot of insulin releasing right now. So like that, you have to get the big picture of the concepts. You cannot stuck in the weeds of the concept. All you have to do, get the big picture and practice multiple choice questions. After practicing multiple choice questions, the next stage is practicing passages based on these chapters. The only way you can nail organic chemistry if you know how to solve the passage from the ketones, alcohols, carboxylic acids, and then phenols, and absorption spectra, UV, IR, NMR spectroscopy. So only way to learn the organic chemistry is by practicing passages from organic chemistry. And then we have biology, cell biology, and then we have biology, anatomy, and physiology. Can you see that? We already talked about that. All the systems in this, nervous, endo, repro, respiratory, hematology, oncology, lymphatic, immune system, GI, gastroenterology, digestive system, musculoskeletal system, skin system, all these systems are very, very useful even in the medical school. When you go to medical school, these are the courses you're going to do in the first 2 years of your any medical school curriculum. So if you study all these now, when you go to medical school, you enjoy more. Are you guys with me? So study something that is useful not only for your MCAT, but also for your future medical school. And then we have physics. Like I said, focus on the physics concepts that you understood. If you do not understand something, just forget about that, move on. Do some practice questions, do your best, answer as much as you could, and then just move on. All right, so these are the overall stuffs. We already discussed about that. You have to finish the required coursework. Some students also study concurrently while taking the courses. Second thing, you have to register for the test. Are you guys with me? You have to register for the test. That's the first thing. It's not about thinking about MCAT or talking about MCAT. You have to do something about MCAT by registration. You know why you do well when you register? Can you guess? Can you guess why do you do well when you register the test? Any answer from the chart? When you register the test, you study better. Why? It gives a high motivation. Why? Because you have to spend some money. Am I right, guys? So you already paid something, so you have to be like more accountable to your own money. So that's the strategy. You know, if I were you, if I can study at least 4 hours per day, I will register from 3 months from now. Those dates will go so quickly, so please register. If I can study 8 hours from day, I can register in 2 months. If you have 8 hours, a serious dedicated time allotted for your MCAT. Are you guys with me? Everyone agree with that? So again, time varies. Someone is taking the test second time or third time. So I don't know exactly where you stand in your journey, but please register the test, then we will think about anything else. And then create a realistic study plan, understand and apply scientific inquiry and reasoning skills, enhance your reading skills. Finally, practice by using full-length examination. So this is a big picture slide that will give you overall things you have to do. So these are the courses. Generally, students who do very well in the courses, they also do very well in the MCAT. So all these chapters, all these courses are not new. You might have done these courses in your undergrad. All you have to do, you have to review the content quickly. You have to make a summary sheet for each chapter. Don't stuck making summary sheets, but if you make a summary sheet with your own hand or with your computer, with your laptop or iPad, you have a personal connection to the summary. You know what exactly, how to summarize the entire chapter quickly. Yes, this presentation is recorded and send it to the email. Next one, you know the dates. Please go ahead and register for the exam. Choose the right date. It will never feel like you are preparing enough. But at some point, you must trust yourself and take the exam. So jump into the fire. Do not always thinking, I'm going to take the test. I'm going to take the test. No, don't do that. Just register for the test because you never feel like you are ready for the test. Just do your best and take the test. You will do well. Don't focus solely on memorization. You need to think through the problem, know the concepts, and know how to and when to apply those concepts to solve the problems in passage-centered questions. So this is an example how to create a study plan. You all are adults, you know how to study, but still you have to create list of resources available, like free resources, Khan Academy, YouTube, and AMC practice material. They're not free, but they are very useful resources. And then you have to create list of strategies. I'm gonna read this much time. I'm gonna create summaries. I'm gonna do practice questions. I'm gonna do passage practice questions. I have 4 hours available on Wednesday. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read biostatistical medicine textbook. Again, is that right, folks? Do you have to read the textbook? Answer is no. You have to read the summaries and main big picture concept maps in the textbook, and you have to watch the Khan Academy videos. That's fine. And then you have to make the flashcards if you could, and you have to test myself with the flashcards and take some practice questions. So these are the some examples how you plan your study day. I would tell you, please block your calendar. Create a MCAT calendar. I have 4 hours today. I'm gonna sacrifice those 4 hours, 1 hour for each subsection. Please give equal importance for each subsection. More than anything, I'm not a personality development, instructor or coach. When you write it down, you do better. If you don't have a plan, you don't know how much you covered, you don't know exactly what you are studying. So when you have a plan, you have to write it down. This is what I covered on Thursday. This is what I covered on Friday. This is what I covered on Saturday. This is what I covered on Sunday. You might think, what happened to the weekend? Weekend will not exist for the pre-med students until they became medical students. After that, medical school, you realize, oh, weekend never existed at all. So just get used to, think about there is no weekend for us. It's all 7-day work. So write it down, folks. Write it down, your calendar. Keep a strict what exactly you do so that you can see where you are standing. Are you giving exact equal importance to each subsection or not? And then how can you use these practice exams? You have to see, you have to review your low or medium confidence topics by using study material. You have to review. I'm just telling you, you have to review because you do not have to memorize. You have to understand the concept, do not have to memorize, and you have to know how to apply those concepts in the passages. Answer practice questions or the specific topic. Have we talked about that? You have to answer practice questions on each specific topic you review. That's the step 2. Step 3, spaced repetition. Some people use flashcards. Some people use their own summary sheets. I don't care what kind of learner you are, but do something for spaced repetition, because after reading Gen Chem stoichiometry in a 3-4 days or 1 week, you completely forget about that. So go back and do a quick 5 minutes review on stoichiometry, so you don't lose what you learned 3 weeks ago. So that's called a spaced repetition study method. And then complete full length practice exams. We talked about that. Finally, review practice exam questions, your low, medium, high topics. You have to review what questions you got, guessed it or missed it. So same thing. If you see 1 to 5, what is the maximum one in this timeline? Number 5. Everyone agrees with that. So what is number 5? It's mostly practicing passages. Practicing passages is a major thing out of any other timeline for MCAT prep. Finally, prepare for the test with confidence. Are you guys with me? Again, I'm coming back to practicing passages, and practicing passages. So, scientific inquiry and reasoning skills. If you know these skills, you can answer many questions in the MCAT. If you know the basic knowledge on the scientific concepts and principles, you can answer first 2 to 3 questions. So always do not miss first 2 to 3 questions, because the hardness goes from first question to the 7th question in each passage. So try to answer the first 2-3 questions. I'm telling you, you will not get, less score for simple questions. So please answer first 2 questions or 3 questions. All you need a basic knowledge foundation. And the next 2 questions are scientific reasoning and problem solving. And then reasoning about design, execution, and research. Finally, database and statistical reasoning. So now tell me, do you have to master the content to answer all these? You don't have to. If you know the content, you can answer first question. But if you see the remaining 6 questions, just by practicing, just by understanding the passage, you can answer the remaining 6 questions in the passage. Are you guys with me? If you know how to read the passage, if you know how to interpret the data in the tables, figures, graphs, if you know basic understanding of the scientific research, if you know how to analyze and evaluate a scientific research pattern, if you know reasoning about scientific principles, models, you can answer almost every question in the MCAT passage. So please improve all of these skills. The only way to improve these skills is quick summary, practicing questions, practicing passages. Are you guys with me? So practice based on the scientific reasoning, reasoning about design and execution of research, data-based statistical reasoning. If you are not good at basic stat, please go ahead and practice your stat skills. If you know how to read the passage and understand the research method, you do great in MCAT. Read a lot. Read. While reading a passage, always focus on what is important. Your mind will tell you this is important. Answer the questions based on the main idea, understanding, and underlying concept. You got the gut feeling, right? Immediately reading the thing. Unless until you have a strong evidence, do not change your first answer. Are you guys with me? We have tendency to change all the time, But whatever you get the first gut feeling, that most likely your right answer. Unless until you have the strong evidence in the passage. And answer, read opinion articles. If they say according to the table 2, you have to look into the table 2. Everyone agrees with that. If they say according to the picture 1, you have to look into the picture 1. That will save your time. Answer according to the author. As a professor, when they say according to the author, I'm like, I don't care. I answer according to me. Guess what? I got the wrong answer. So please answer according to the passage writer. Please respect their philosophy and opinion. If you have ego there, you struggle a lot, particularly in the cars and psychology questions. So please focus, think like, so treat every passage individually. I know it's very hard because it's an 8-hour exam. Every passage, the way I see, is a new patient coming to my office. So every passage is new. Do not think about previous passages. I know it's very hard. Please complete the passage and then jump into the next passage. When you jump into the next passage, you are not supposed to remember anything from the previous passage because it will hurt you. When you have a bad passage as your first passage, you cannot perform well in all other passages. So please treat every passage like a separate passage. You just started the exam. You're like a brand new person. It's easy to say, but hard to implement. And then consider reading and understanding the research articles. The more you read research articles, the more you do better in the MCAT. Take the assessment. There is a free AAMC sample test. Take all 4 full-length exams. Your real score most likely AAMC score. Improve your test-taking ability by increasing your endurance. Don't get used with the testing with the distractions. Please create a real testing environment while you are taking the test. Hardness increases from question 1 to 2. Always try to do educated guess. Do not leave any question unanswered. Do not go to next passage without finishing that passage. Are you guys with me? So you are working on a passage. There are 5 questions on the passage. You know 2 questions. You answer those 2 questions, right? You don't know 3 questions. Do you flag and come back? That's wrong. What do you have to do? You have to finish those 5 questions, even though they are educated guess, and then move on to the next passage, and then treat the next passage completely brand new. You just started the test. Are you guys with me? Do not flag the questions. Finish the entire passage and then move on to the next passage. Do not flag those questions for you gonna come back, you're never gonna come back because there's no enough time in the MCAT. So finish that passage, answer all the questions, even though you know, you don't know, doesn't matter. You still have 25% probability to get it right. So do some educated guess. You know why? In MCAT, 2 questions are easy to distract, 2 options, and 2 options are simply you can distinguish. They're not close enough. So the 2 distractor, 2 close answers, you still have 50% probability. So do not leave any question unanswered. Please do not leave any question. I know students, they miss at least 2 to 3 passes on the cars. Ask them, why did you do that? Then they are like, I'm stuck on 1 passage. That's not right at all. You might have very easy passages as your last 3 passages. So do not leave them unanswered. Review all weaknesses. Try to spend at least 8 hours straight. Build your stamina, because you have to do like a 59 passes centered questions. Use the topics by random or mix. Review the missed and guessed questions. Read the rationale and explanations. Practice at least 400 passages. Some people use UOld is another useful resource if you finish all the AAMC questions. Embrace continuous learning, both weak and strong areas. To get 503, you have to do only 3 right answers for each passage. Know your strengths and weaknesses. Study what you don't enjoy first, like physics and organic chemistry. Be prepared emotionally, physically, effectively, vigorously. Incorporate some mental and physical at the time for your family and friends. Practice, and more practice with grit and positive attitude. It's really hard, those last 2 things. How to practice with grit and positive attitude. The only way you can get confidence by practicing more passages. This is the AAMC store you can buy. MCAT quick sheet, that's another good quick review resource. You can get it by $2 or $3 in Amazon. And there are some links how to create study plan, what's on the MCAT exam, free planning, AMC guide. So about like $550, you can get everything you need for MCAT, YouTube playlist, Kaplan video, quick sheet. And then finally, quick content review, practice by passing passages, AMC resources. So I'm going to stop it here. And I want you to ask questions. We still have 20 minutes. Thank you all for your time. Now, this is the time for Q&A. So what is meant by random or mixed blocks? That means you study one block in physics, you study passages in the psychology, and you study passages in cars. So that's the random or mixed blocks. And what time in college should I start prepping for MCAT? I would say if you finish all your courses in the first 2 years, the the courses I talk about in the presentation, you can start from third year in your undergrad college. Any other questions? You can also ask questions about our admissions process. We are new Ayurvedic medical school in the nation. All right, now I'm going to give you some time for you to say, can you share a couple of things you learned from this talk? Yeah, not in the chart, you can share verbally.
Good afternoon. I did put a question in the chat asking if the summary sheet should be over each subject. To say, for instance, like organic chemistry, one for organic, one for biochem. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah. I mean, there are no summary sheets for cars. So except cars, you need summary sheets for everything. Like you can make summary sheet by looking at the summary in the chapter.
Thank you.
So anyone can share your thoughts or what did you learn from this talk?
Hello, I wanted to say thank you for a wonderful presentation. I recently found out about Meritus in the past 2 weeks, and I am interested in applying for the fall 2025. I'm a non-traditional pre-med student, and I'm doing an accelerated post-bac program. Each quarter is about 9 to 10 weeks, and I've started on that journey since February, and I am just now starting to plan to take the MCAT in January. My question is, January too late to take the MCAT for a fall 2025 application?
Ms. John, can you answer this question? I don't think it's too late because if you take the test on January, you can still get results in February. So our application cycle is open until April first week. So you'll be fine.
Yes, and I agree with Dr. K. It is definitely not too late. So I would recommend go ahead. You can submit your application, and when you receive your MCAT scores, and it obviously it has to be before April 11th. So you are good to go.
Yeah, you can submit the application and update our MCAT score.
Great. Thank you both. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any more questions or questions about our college?
Dr. K, we received some questions. Someone asked, should I take the actual test multiple times or are practice tests sufficient?
I would say I would take practice exam multiple times because the maximum number of times you can take is 3 per year. And also every time you take the MCAT, there's a transcript. We can see all the, actual test scores. So don't take, real test as a practice test.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me by chance?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Hi, my name is Chris. I'm also a non-traditional student. I'm applying this cycle. I want to say thank you very much for those tips. I wish I had them. My first attempts on the MCAT. You were just like you came straight like to the nitty gritty and like quantified the amount of passage. I think the biggest issue for me for studying the MCAT was thinking that you have to content review and then take questions. But it wasn't until my last attempt, as you explained, that taking questions and content reviewing the ones you got wrong is actually the best way, which I also found that to be true based off my last result that I got in September. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for your time and being able to quantify that. That was really, really, really helpful. But I do have one question for
Yes.
either you or I forgot your name. I'm so
Sia.
sorry. I apologize. Yes, Miss
Sia.
Sia. What do you guys think about multiple attempts on the MCAT? Because I do have multiple attempts on the MCAT, and I wanted to see if like that would like be an issue as long as like my last attempt is the highest attempt, but like is that viewed like heavily frowned upon, or What do you guys opinionate on that, if there's at least a trend going upwards? Thank you for your time.
All right, so we understand students come from different backgrounds. Admissions committee always prefer holistic review. So even though you have multiple attempts, we see the highest score there in the various attempts. So I don't think it's a huge negative thing or anything having multiple attempts in the MCAT. Or any other questions?
Hi, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just I'm a freshman at my college, and I was just wondering if your med school takes international students or accepts application from international students.
Thank you for your question. So one of the admissions requirements is that the applicants must be a U.S. permanent resident or a U.S. citizen.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And Dr. K, I'm looking at, there are some additional questions I'm seeing, like, does an anthropology class cover what I would need to know for the sociology section of the MCAT?
No, you need to take the sociology too. Yes,
Okay.
Joanne Perras, what is your question? Yes, go
Yes,
ahead.
I'm sorry. My question was, does MCOM require the preview exam, which is like the professional readiness exam that ACOM requires, I think, for more allopathic schools? I haven't seen it with DO schools, but I just wanted to ask about Meritus.
Do you answer that, Miss John?
Yes, I can answer that. No, so that is not a requirement for to have the preview exam taken for admission for MSOM.
Thank you.
And I'm seeing a
So-
question in regards to going over the application process for MSOM. So after the presentation is over, this webinar, excuse me, is recorded. So I'll send the recorded video and you'll be able to see and hear me talk about the application process for MSOM. I've seen more
Excellent.
questions.
So I have another question, BA versus BS.
Mm.
If you take the required prerequisite courses required for medical school and required for MCAT, that will not make a big difference between BA versus BS. So both degrees have equal importance. If you have required coursework for both MCAT as well as for medical school.
All right, next question is how many
So-
seats are there for MSOM? And for the 1st year, we're looking at approximately 90 students.
So there is a MSOM.org website. You can go to admissions and you can get our admissions overview. You can also get the future events. We are also planning a pre-med 101 workshop too in the coming months. And then we're also planning some boot camp, 1 week boot camp where you can really work on the passages, probably in the December. So please check our website whenever you could. Any other things you want to share before we leave about what you learned from this talk?
Hi, I'll share. I'm
Yeah.
Joanne. I'm applying to Meritus this coming application season. So thank you so much for this informational seminar. Something I really learned was focus on the bigger picture. A problem I had even in undergrad was always focusing on the little details. So I appreciate you bringing forward the summarization sheets. I think getting the bigger picture will help me grasp everything as a whole and kind of incorporate it into each different topics. For example, OChem with chem or anatomy physiology, merge it all together. Can I also ask a quick question about the admission cycle? Okay. So I'm a non-traditional applicant, but I did complete a post-bac program. How do you weigh GPAs? Is it cumulative with undergrad and graduate school, or do you factor in graduate GPA higher?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We'll take a look at both GPAs, undergrad and your post-bac GPA. And of course, we'll look at the upward trend, right? And everything. So everything will be considered when we review your application.
Thank you so much for clarifying.
Yeah, it's a cumulative,
welcome.
and ACOMAS does that.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
we got results from ACOMAS, so it's all cumulative. There is no specific, importance. It depends on number of credits you take.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments before we leave? Okay, I'm really thankful to Barbara Saras for scheduling and communicating all of you, and also will share all the material. And then special thanks to Ms. John for supporting us. And finally, our Dean, Dr. Gregory, and President, Dr. Joshi. And again, we are Meritus School of Osteopathic Medicine, and we truly thankful for all of you for your time. And thank you so much. We're going to have more workshops in the future. We will be in touch with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. K.
Thank you. Thank you all. Is there any